What's up, everybody? It's me, Johnny, and with me, I've got DJD and Farmer.
Howdy.
How's it going?
And sitting back there in the booth, we've got Craig. What's up, Craig? And I want to make sure, last week we forgot to talk about it. I want to make sure to welcome everyone to our third audio-only visual episode. We're still going strong with our changeover to video podcasts, despite this one being audio only. So welcome. And I just want to comment that we have done zero work on that. We talked about it and agreed on it. And there has been zero hey, let's get together and get this set up and do this and do this. And honestly, I'm kind of about it. I kind of like it. So there's that. Keep your eyes peeled, everybody. We'll be getting those video episodes to you.
Oh, yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
But I don't even know how we're going to segue into it. Hey, guys. So we've got a bit of bad news. This is, I saw the last
not just
episode.
One thing, but many things,
I saw the last episode
of
the podcast we called, what did you call it? Bygard.
Oh, Bygard.
And
Bygard.
Way more views than our other episodes. So
Really?
yeah.
But it's controversy and people just love it,
that was also a really good title. I just want to say,
it's a great title. It's a great title.
One-liner titles like that, people it just grabs their attention. I mean, it grabs my attention, and you end up clicking on it, and yeah.
But this week it's goodbye Xbox, kind of the beginning of the end for Xbox.
Buy box.
Buy box.
Buy box.
Yeah, but for those who are not aware, when David, he texted me this, and I was like, get in Discord. You need to explain this to me. D, would you like to share the news? Would you like to be the messenger that we're all going to kill for this situation?
Sure. So on Friday, he posts, Phil Spencer made a post on LinkedIn.
We won't say his name. Don't say his name.
He who is not
somehow. I just want to say this is somehow Jeff Keighley's fault. Anyway, continue.
Circling back to next week, I see.
He posted on LinkedIn, "It's rare in life to know when a chapter is closing. But after 38 years at Microsoft, that moment has arrived for me. I've made a decision to retire and begin the next chapter of my life. It's a milestone that is to reflect on the incredible journey I've been fortunate enough to share with so many of you. I'm excited for Asha Sharma as she steps into the CEO role. She's joining an incredible group of people, teams full of talent, heart, and a deep commitment to the players they serve. Watching her lean in with curiosity and a real desire to strengthen the foundation we've built gives me confidence our Xbox communities will be well supported in the years ahead. Thinking back to my start as an intern in 1988, I was born that year.
Good Lord.
I never could have imagined the path ahead. I've been lucky to work with so many passionate creators, partners, colleagues, and players across the industry. People who challenged me, taught me, and made this work full of joy and wonder. Thank you to everyone who's been part of this chapter. This community has meant more to me than I can say. From here, I'll keep doing what's always mattered so much to me, cheering on the teams pushing this industry forward and playing alongside this incredible community. I'll see you online."
Was anybody else earlier thinking he who must not be named? I mean, sorry, I had to go back to
Jeff Keighley. Jeff Keighley.
No. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, man, hard week. When I saw that, I mean, I assume that he's been kind of playing this for a little bit, but at the same time, it's just Phil Spencer is the heart,
He is Xbox.
He is.
Am I wrong?
Mr. X.
He is Xbox.
It feels like all the passion stems from Phil Spencer, and now that he's gone, it's just wow. That's a hard blow.
It's tough. Yeah. I think that when it comes down to it, I think that Phil Spencer like led Xbox. Like a lot of people talk about the 360 as being like their Xbox, right? And like they want to see us go back to the 360 days where games were coming out like all the time and everything, and like the Xbox
Even though
360
way more
was
games
leading
come out
the
nowadays,
PS4.
but,
You know, I mean
okay,
that's yep, no, yeah, exactly. Like then they were leading the race and everything because console wars was like such a huge thing, and thankfully not as much anymore, although it still obviously exists in a pretty loud like fashion. But like my Xbox, my favorite era of Xbox by far was Phil's tenure, where Xbox was down in sales, couldn't catch up, and Phil took over and he was like, you know what? We're just gonna like make the best thing that we can. We're going to port our players in new, innovative ways. We're going to try new, innovative things. We're going to listen and try to respond to like criticisms, you know, and not just like be blind to like any problems that others point out. And we're going to continue to like essentially just try to like make games accessible and playable, like, and really kind of serve our community. You know, they will not be. He even mentioned like they will not be second class like players when it comes down to it. And that was really, really, I felt like a powerful message in an era where like a lot of people would have been tempted to like chase waterfalls, so to speak. You know, and I like the fact that Xbox did so much under his tenure, from like just making well, Game Pass is like the big thing, right? But also like even things like embracing Discord, you know,
right.
Being the first one to do that, continuing to do like all these like little like customer service tweaks, you know, like
which is funny to embrace Discord when it's dead. Am I right?
Yeah,
so it's over.
I mean, end of an era. But maybe Phil caused this by leaving.
Jeff Keighley did it.
Oh my gosh! But I mean, like,
I feel like at this point, Johnny needs a Jeff Keighley button. Like
they heard the criticism about lack of games, and they did everything in their power to get games, right? Like they bought a ton of studios. You know, they consolidated workflows. They got like to the point where now we see like at least 4, usually closer to 8 Xbox first-party games a year now. And that's really cool, you know.
Last year I mean, like quite amazing, you know. I mean, I feel like there's so many.
And this year's looking pretty good too. I mean, like,
I love how the old anti-Xbox conversation was how there's no exclusives, and like that's just not a discussion anymore. Like people just don't talk about exclusives anymore
because, like, yeah, exactly. And that's the thing too, is like it's crazy how that's not a discussion anymore when PlayStation has been flaky as anything on exclusives the last few years.
Well,
like to the point where it's like.
Well, I was just gonna say they've been moving even like Xbox has all these great games, but they're moving it so much more to everywhere. Like, it doesn't really. That's not the conversation anymore. You know, the conversation is like, where can we get our games? You know, we're gonna have our games everywhere. You know, and I like that
Xbox
better anyway.
Has been pushing that, right? Like, and you can say what you want about like this and that Xbox like marketing campaign and that whole thing. Like, I think that there's obviously some easy criticisms there. Apparently, that was actually Sarah Bond's like project, allegedly, according to like some articles I've read. But
well, and that's a good point. That's another thing I was really sad to see, that she was also, you know, going, leaving Xbox as well. Which, you know, say what you will. I mean, they seem like everything's in good hands, but it's also makes you worry a little bit. I mean, like one article that I was looking at earlier, I mean, it kind of makes you think, is Xbox being, you know, kind of slowly...
Is Xbox done?
Is Microsoft slowly just,
well, you know, this isn't the first time.
Be anything,
right?
You know,
Sega is still around, but only as a game developer, right? Like they don't make consoles anymore, right? Like this kind of stuff happens, right? Like
that's true.
Say that people might be like, it can't go away, but it definitely can go away.
Well,
Like it's happened
the
before.
huge thing though is just a couple years ago they had this huge, Activision Blizzard buyout. I mean, this was massive.
Yeah.
And maybe this is like the stem of like, okay, maybe we shouldn't have done that, and now they're having the results of it. They're having to figure out what they're doing to like make the money back or whatever. I don't know. But it's just really kind of shocking and also like what's going on? It's like, what are they doing?
Well, because like there's no way that this like was planned to happen like this, right? There's the possibility that there was some kind of plan in the works. Like, I mean, according to the like statements that I've seen, Asha has been over at Xbox for like at least like a couple months or so. Like,
but that doesn't make me feel very solid in her being the CEO.
Right.
I'm sorry, but she seems like she doesn't know much about the business. From the way that he carefully worded it, she's excited to learn and to lean into it. But I'm not saying that you can't, and I'm sure when he first started, maybe he was learning a lot himself. But it just seems like she was under a totally different branch, and now she's over Xbox. What does this mean? What's the writing on the wall? So to speak.
I think the difference is that like Phil Spencer always felt like and always came across as one of us, like a gamer, who like understood like what gamers want and everything, and like
very
had a very firm grasp and a relatability that like most CEOs don't, right? Like you look at like PlayStation's like presidents and CEOs over the years, like Sean Layden is the last one that I can remember even being like visible and interacting with people, right? And that was like what 3-4 like presidents ago. Like I mean, that was a little while ago.
It's just
same
hard
with
to see him
like
go.
Reggie over like Doug Bowser
Nintendo
or
America.
the new one. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Is Doug Bowser gone already?
I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, like when it comes down to it, like Phil came across with just this level of authenticity and passion for like the thing that he was in charge of, because he wanted it to
also,
be good,
just
because
like, he games too,
right.
He was just
and
like
it wasn't
us,
about it being profitable. It was about it being good, right? And the era of Phil's tenure, I feel like, was essentially an era of innovation, of trying new things, of like being always attempting to be the best for gamers. Full stop.
Right. And that's a good point too. I mean, that's what he was all about. It wasn't just about, having the best games or anything like that, or being the best console. It was really about what's best in this generation of gaming and for these games. What's the best for the consumers? What's the best for gamers? Where can I play all my games? It doesn't matter where you play. And they've even said that many times. It's like, I don't care where you play. I just want to make sure that you can play,
The way that I said it when like I first saw this news was that one of the things that I respect most about Phil is my buddy Phil, who I'm on a first name basis with.
Yeah, you're on that thread.
Microsoft
Xbox
Phil. Right? We're talking about Phil here, not Jeff.
One of the things that I respect most about Phil is that it always felt like he viewed Xbox as a destination, not a vehicle. Right? Like essentially gaming as a whole was like the end all. That was the point, right? As opposed to it being like just another cog in the wheel of the machine. And I like that always came across as very authentic to me and something that I respected a lot, especially as someone who has invested so much of his own life into like this, like this passion of mine, And so like it's really tough to see the thing that like I think Phil did really well was that he made things the best that they could be for gamers and for developers to kind of like get what they want. And like that's a really difficult thing that I like to do when you like have concerns about like profit and like business and like being third place, or whatever, and like
right.
all of these other concerns, like
all the pressures that surround you with all those kind of dynamics.
It takes a really, really strong stance where you just have to be like a tree that doesn't waver in the midst of all that turmoil.
Pretty much, and just locking in and saying this is who we are, and we're passionate about it no matter what.
Like, I'm not even confident. We'll never know now, but I'm not even confident that like Sarah Bond would have been able to do nearly as well. I was looking forward to her because it also seems like she has a passion for this industry, right? And like that passion can give you a lot of strength when it comes down to it because you care. And like, I don't necessarily know that Asha shares that passion. Obviously, she'll probably want to do a good job because it's her job, and she'll probably care like about like doing a good job. But to care about like gaming as a whole, I don't necessarily know that she'll ever like have that like same like DNA that Phil and Sarah had. And so like it's really, really, really kind of worrisome to see like essentially what feels like a Nadella handpicked person to come into that role. When Nadella obviously has had problems with the direction of Xbox ever since they invested, the billions of dollars that they took to buy Activision. And like,
and it definitely on one hand, feels like a Microsoft
that's fair. Thing, like, I mean, like they did spend all that money and like, it's not like Xbox was profitable enough to afford that on their own. And like, I get that. I understand that like, oh, we need to make like a return on this, right? But on the other hand,
the problem is like doing this makes it seem, and it might even very well be this way, is that they're just like, okay, this is not profitable anymore, and we're bringing in our closer. I mean, that's what it seems like.
That's what it feels like. I hate it. That's absolutely what it feels like. It's like this is someone who's going to attempt to essentially right the ship, right? And like I told Johnny, like one of the things that I do understand is that like essentially having two diverging visions of what Xbox is isn't good for Xbox. It isn't.
Right. And this comes back to all of the mixed messaging, right? That they've been over the years.
Yeah.
Over the
like
recent
there's been
years,
a lot of that over the last like 5 years or so, where it's like Phil would say one thing and then he'd have to come back like 2 months later and say like something different, And it's like, I mean, you can't trust a company that does that, even if the figurehead is like someone that you do like kind of trust in and of himself, a little bit. Like,
well, and it seemed like he fully intended to, go through with it all as acting CEO of Xbox. But then he probably went to a board meeting over all the businesses of Microsoft in the Microsoft board meeting, and then they're like, "No, this is what you're going to say, and this is what you're going to do." And I'm sure he just wasn't happy with that either.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
You can't.
And
I mean, they pulled those, kind of tricks enough times, and he's like, I'm done. And that might have been what brought us to this scenario. He might have just been like, you know what?
That's what it feels like.
He doesn't want to. That's what it feels like. Yeah. I was going to say, I understand that he was already planning on retiring, but this in no way feels like he was like, oh, it's time for me to step down. It very much feels like hey, like they've been going at different directions this whole time. And he's just like either being pushed out or he's stepping out because it's just not going to happen, and he's not
and especially with Sarah Bond, just planning to be
with his
successor,
number 2,
all of a sudden
stepping
she's
out
gone.
Also.
You could
where
definitely
clearly
see that
she was being prepared for it.
Yes, exactly, and she seemed like a perfect fit outside of who in the world is, who they brought in. Is like. As the Xbox gaming side.
One of the things David said that I very much agreed with is so if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you would always hear when we would criticize Xbox, like whether it be about, day one releases on Game Pass, and then it turns out that that's not the case because it has to be a specific tier of Game Pass, or whether it be the conversation of games that were exclusive to Xbox are being sent over to PlayStation, and whether or not that was okay. David said the same thing over and over. In Farm, do you remember what that was? He always said, I trust... Man, these birds are being loud, dude.
I trust no one.
I trust
like,
these birds are being
Phil
loud.
Spencer. That's what he would say, right? He would say, "I trust Phil Spencer." And like,
yeah, I remember
to
that
see
several
him
times.
gone, several times.
Like,
Like, I
where's the
trust Phil
trust now?
Spencer,
The trust
and I
is
trust his
shaky.
direction, and that like I know that even if they're going to make these changes or they're going to back up on their stuff with Phil as the head, I trust it. And
I
he's
trust
not the head
essentially
anymore.
that he would like always fight for gamers, right? He would always
Yeah, he
try
was
to
there
make
to
the
bat
best
for the
out of the
gamers
situation,
for sure.
like no matter how bad it got. Like I mean, like, and I understood. Like he even said, I have limited power sometimes. You know, like when your company
Well,
like
and that we can see the results
invests
of
a
that.
certain amount of money,
you know?
like yeah. What kills
And
me
that's
though
the
too
problem
is like
with Asha Sharma. You know, there's nothing that we can rely on, especially where she's coming from. Everything that Microsoft has been pushing and going for. I mean, she's coming from that side of it. She's coming from core AI. So that doesn't give us any trust in her. I mean, I'd like to be wrong. And I guess that's where I'm like, make the statement now. Prove us wrong, prove us wrong here.
Apparently one of the things that she was known for in one of the articles that I read was like essentially increasing like user activation, right? So getting like essentially more active users and like increasing like sales and all that. So I mean like that there's definitely a problem that Xbox has with sales. Like that's undeniable. And my hope was that essentially, eventually, that like either they'd stop caring about the Xbox sales, like specifically, because their games are everywhere, or that their games would be enough of a draw between that and like finally stabilizing whatever Game Pass is supposed to be. That like essentially that would kind of balance out that way. Right, because like there's like with them like having essentially what looks like, I mean, who knows now, I guess we'll see in June when they do like their summer game fest thing, but like who knows now what the games like lineup looks like. I imagine that there won't be any changes to the stuff that's like on the immediate horizon,
right?
But I mean, past that, who knows?
So my thing with it is, it's one of the other thing David said is that he is under no illusions that there is any safety in Microsoft hardware anymore. He brought up that like is what we had talked about. I don't know if you remember, Farm, we talked about on this podcast that like, is Xbox getting out of the hardware game? We even talked about, and one of the things, David, we did not talk about when we talked about this, is this because of the Steam machine? Do they know something that we don't know? And they're like, well, are we going to get into fourth place? And like, maybe it's better for us to just get out of this completely and make a Steam app. I mean, how about this? Make a Steam app for Xbox Cloud Gaming. Right? And then boom, you've got, Game Pass app on Steam.
Now
we don't have to sell
the Steam
hardware or anything
Steam
else.
Machine at this point could
By
not
the way,
be a thing either.
Still no announcement.
At this point, it could be dead on arrival. I mean, it's just it could just really be a thing that goes away as well, or changes. Yeah. It could be something that morphs completely different. And so this landscape that we're in right now is just like kind of a bunch on the unknowns. So Xbox is got pretty much question mark. Steam Machine's kind of like on the question mark. The RAM's up the wazoo right now. I mean, it's just crazy.
And to be fair, we've talked about this. I would still expect the next generation of Xbox to come out because it's been in development for so long. Right, like it just has to come out at this point. That's my assumption that there will still be a new Xbox, even with all these changes.
They've said it, but again, they've said many things.
But they've said a lot of things
on their word. So it's like,
and now Phil's gone at this point, right? Well, and the thing is that it seems very apparent to me that Microsoft is trying to make the Netflix of gaming, right? Where like. They have Game Pass Ultimate day one. You pay for this stuff and you get all of these new games. All of these studios they've bought, they can still develop games that are going to be played via Xbox Cloud Gaming. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think the only problem with that is that nobody else will let Game Pass on their system, right? And why should they? So when it comes down to it, like I mean, like Game Pass being a subscription model and not being able to be on anything else except for Microsoft devices, I think that's kind of a problem that they need to address. Yeah, or your phone. Yeah,
or your phone, or like an Apple TV app You know what I mean?
They're trying to find something that's just like a win.
Could you imagine that? Hold on, let's talk about that. But actually, let's talk about this win. What if they make a smart TV app?
Well, they
all
already
of these TVs that
have one.
People
My
buy.
Samsung has an
Game
Xbox
Pass
Game Pass. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Most
so like,
TVs can connect to the Xbox.
Most
honestly.
TVs and people can play Xbox games. You just have to buy a controller. Boom, they don't have to sell you a console. You can just do it via the cloud.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean,
on your cell phone. I mean, it's a huge market. It's a huge.
It seems
market.
like the shift is AI. I mean, in cloud gaming and AI is kind of like hand in hand.
The problem with being on phones or TVs or anything else is space, right? Storage space.
Right.
Where like I mean, like you're going to have to stream games, and I don't necessarily think that even like I don't know that 5 years from now we'll be at a place where streaming is as good as having native installed stuff to the point where you like
it's
would like
one thing to watch something, it's one thing to watch it.
I just want to point out,
as David and
I get that, but
times.
also on this same podcast, you and Farmer have specifically talked about how great Game Pass streaming games has gotten. And how for most things,
it has gotten better, but fine.
It's
most
been like
gamers,
from game to game. It's like up and down, up and down. So like a single player title, I could definitely see it working on a scenario like that. But anything that's you're actually going to be interacting like a multiplayer scenario, it's not going to work. Not at this point. Like,
but
I don't
also,
even see it 5-10 years.
A lot of people do play those single player scenarios.
But my question would be like, so me personally, I would not want to. I don't think anytime soon, despite how good streaming has gotten, I don't think that I'd prefer to play like a game on a streaming like thing, even if it's like NVIDIA GeForce or like or Game Pass or like any of the other ones like Amazon Luna or whatever. I don't think I would prefer that to having it installed. So I don't know that like I would, for instance, like get Game Pass to play games when I could buy the games on PlayStation or whatever and play them there. So if Xbox goes that route of being console free, like I don't necessarily know that there's enough of a draw for like most actual like gamers who like do more than casual gaming to like.
But I think,
be willing
but
to do
don't
that.
you think that? I mean, no offense to Xbox, but how many people on Xbox aren't just like are like hardcore gamers? Like maybe they want to get into the casual crowd more.
That's possible. Yeah,
like,
that they want to like actually
as
like
a parent,
like broaden their demographics.
Parent, the idea that I wouldn't have to buy. I could buy a $60 controller, and my kid could play all of those games, and you just pay a subscription fee.
That's true too.
Spending
actually,
$500 on a.
Yep. And so if they shift all that, if they put all the resources outside of making hardware and then market that completely, I mean, I guess I could see that working in the numbers better in their favor. And that might be exactly what they're trying to do.
Also, to be completely fair, like, isn't watching movies on a Blu-ray better than watching it over streaming, just period? Because it's like the physical media is there on the thing, like a 4K Blu-ray. But like most people don't really care. And I am one of those people who doesn't care.
I mean, as long as there's a lot. Yeah, that's true, because as long as you're able to consume that medium, like you're trying to get the story, you're trying to get to the next point, and so you don't.
Right.
I mean,
but
I don't think of us as the target anymore.
Sure.
I think that we're a very niche target, and that like realistically, probably my son would think it's fine. Probably
because they're used to Fortnite and playing those all the other games of Fortnite that are the sub level, as we've mentioned a couple of times.
And I'm not saying that I like it. I'm saying that it would seem to me that that's the move that they're. If I had to guess, I would say that seems to be the move they're trying to get to. Of like, we want to do something like this.
To counter that, though, in Asha's statement, one of the like she lists out like 3 different bullet points, right? First, great games. Second, the return of Xbox. Third, future of play. Now, under the return of Xbox, she specifically calls out that we will celebrate our roots with a renewed commitment to Xbox, starting with console, which has shaped who we are. Like, that's a pretty strong line. Now, is that just lip service, like telling people what they want to hear while she like takes over the reins? It may be. That's definitely possible. Like, I mean, like that might be pandering to a degree.
Does that mean we're getting the Xbox original back?
That seems almost antithetical to what it seemed like Nadella was pushing, which was like, cloud everything, like, I mean, like, so, I mean, it could be that, like, that she's just saying that she doesn't mean that. But the fact that, like, she puts it in her statement does kind of like
to do it. I mean, even if that's what she wants to do, because there's a lot of stuff apparently Phil wanted to do that they ended up not doing.
And even if she's well intentioned, like even Phil was, I mean, it might not matter. Like she might just be there again to like be more. I don't know how to better put this, but to be more controlled by like Microsoft. I don't know, because maybe she's been in with the Microsoft team for so long, it might be easier to pull those strings. So
it would be cool to be wrong. I want to throw that out there. Yeah. I don't want this to be where we want Xbox to fail. It's not that we want Xbox to fail. It's that this is
and we're just kind of reading the room, and that's just kind of where it feels to us.
And to be completely like open, I think that statement essentially doesn't really mean anything unless we see actions, that support it when it comes down to it.
Right.
Like she also talks about how like we will not flood our system with soulless AI slop. But like, what does AI slop mean like to her or to Microsoft,
Right.
Like, I mean, or like, and some of the things I don't like that she did say was like the return of Xbox so much, like maybe I'm just like too politically brained lately, but it so much feels like like make Xbox great again, where it's like my favorite version of Xbox was when it wasn't like I mean like when it was pro consumer, when it was taking risks, when like little games like there's a game coming out soon by Double Fine, which is like literally like it's a pot, like you're making like a vase, and fighting with
not a vase. Not a vase.
Yeah, not a vase.
Well, and again, that's exactly like, it, because Xbox was like putting these indie teams in places where they could do things that other and then just telling studios, them, hey,
do what you want.
Platforms were not doing.
Like I mean, like
and
I
they were
mean,
making some really interesting things and really awesome art. It's like
not everything needs to be like a crazy like AAA billionaire like making
nothing has to be like a cookie cutter too. Like let them be express their artistry. I'm just saying.
I think part of the problem was that the ones that were supposed to be, like for instance the latest Call of Duty, like obviously weren't. Right, and that's part of the problem. Like that Call of Duty, like didn't meet expectations when it came down to how much money it made.
Yeah, but also, and I'm sorry, but can you sell the same game every year or every 2 years?
Can you sell the same game for a long time
for like 20 years and still expect it to be like, that's weird. Like, why didn't it do well? Yeah. Well, maybe because it's the same game. Come on.
But and that's the thing that they're doing with Assassin's Creed. That like it was just killing me. It's like every year. A new one. I just can't keep up. I'm just not going to keep up, and that's why I stopped playing Assassin's Creed titles. And they stopped. The content wasn't as good. It started being a lot of just like repetition, and then when they kind of like peeled back and changed it up a little bit, it started getting a little bit better again.
My favorite is when other games do it better than they did. Ghost of Tsushima is the best Assassin's Creed game to come out in years.
Oh my gosh, yes. And like I mean, like dude, like man, I don't think it's crossplay, but I wish it was. I might buy it on PC just to play it with you. They have that like co-op mode.
Oh yeah, Legends, I've not played it.
Which is actually, man, it feels so cool. It feels way better than Unity ever hoped to be. Like,
yeah, exactly. I mean, when you get into that rut of like doing the same thing year in year out, you're gonna lose creativity. You just are. I mean. You got to have a couple years to kind of like just
my hope, what I was hoping that Phil would eventually get to, and granted it's hard, right? And who knows if Microsoft ever would have let him, was my hope was, because it feels so much about like studios doing their own thing, is that like, letting a Call of Duty cook for like 3 to 5 years and seeing what they actually come up with when they're given a time. Because right now it feels like they're just like the Pokemon game studio, like
Right.
Game Freak,
Well, you know what?
where
Hold
like,
on.
they're
To be
cranking out
fair, I
things.
said, how can they expect it to make money when they put out the same game every year? And you know what? It does work for Pokemon. I'm sorry.
I mean,
I take
that's
back what I
true.
said. I take
That's
back what I
kind of
said. I was
true.
disproved immediately. Disproved immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
but Call of Duty and Pokemon are very different stylistic games, and there's a
right,
whole different audience too.
right.
On like there's a lot. I think, and I may be wrong saying this, but like Call of Duty seems like more towards the West, where
Mm.
Pokemon is like everywhere.
Well, and Pokemon is more geared toward kids. Just period.
Yeah.
Like it's a kids
Yep,
game.
true.
It's
All the
like
kids like to play it.
kids like it, and if they like it when they're kids, they like it when they're adults. You know what I mean? Like there's a degree of that
Once
too.
you're brainwashed, I mean,
Yeah.
once you like it for life. True.
Once you like playing rock paper scissors, but with little creatures over and over again, then you just like it.
Yeah, there you go. I mean,
Yep.
rock paper scissors is fun. You get
But-
into it. Yeah.
So where I was when Dave, so I just want to throw out there that I'm not happy about this. But
Right.
I also had, I don't know that I talked about it. I had like a pretty big existential issue a couple weeks ago when I was playing with David, and I had like my Xbox Live have issues, and I had these issues with Xbox Live where I should have been able to connect and I couldn't, and so David and I weren't able to play. And it was while like I had turned off my Game Pass and I was switching to using my son's Game Pass. It's complicated, whatever. It was supposed to work. It wasn't working. It did end up working. But in that, one of the things I was facing, to be honest, was I was like, well, am I going to keep paying for this or not? And I kind of got into this thing of like, man, my whole adult life, I've had not just an Xbox, but the newest Xbox, right? Longer than I've been married. All of this stuff. I've always had the newest Xbox. I've always been on that cutting edge, right? And now, I was telling David, I feel like I'm getting to the point with Xbox that I was at with PlayStation during the PlayStation 3. I feel like I'm getting at a jumping off point, to be honest with you. Where just like over the years, I've not been playing it as much and I've not been as happy with like, things that are going on and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, am I like, am I going to buy a Steam machine instead of buying the new Xbox? All of that kind of stuff. And David texted me about this while I was doing math to see if I was going to stop doing a Game Pass Ultimate. So the math here is that we're doing Game Pass Ultimate for my son, right? For his allowance. But we've been doing it for like 2 months, and I have noticed he doesn't play that many games. His favorite thing about Game Pass Ultimate is that he gets Fortnite Crew, right? Which like isn't really worth it for him.
For a free game.
Yeah, for a free game. So then I was like, okay, well then what if we bought him a Switch 2? Because, the yearly cost of like online for the Switch, which we already pay for, is like only like $40 a year or whatever, instead of like, $300 a year. And how much money would we save? And I like did a bunch of math, and it came out to be that if we bought a Switch 2 and we stopped paying for Game Pass Ultimate and such, the Switch 2 would pay itself off in like 2 years with like the new setup that we would be doing. Seems like a no-brainer, right? Okay, cool. In 2 years, it'll just pay itself off, and I'll do that. And then David texts me, and he's like, man, we're going to have a lot to talk about with Xbox's newest announcement. And I was like, what? And he explained all of this, and it was just heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. I literally...
Yeah.
And it was funny, I had just seen that they had Switch 2s at Costco now, but like the Japan-only version, like the Japanese language only. And I went to Costco, and I bought 2 Switch 2s, Farm.
Wow, 2.
Done.
Not just 1, but 2.
And then, so I bought one for my son and one for myself, right?
Gotcha.
So we bought the international version, or the Japanese language only version, because a friend of mine got one, and he was like, oh, all I had to do was change my account from an American account to a Japanese account. That's no problem. And he was like, and you can just change the language of the game in like the game settings. So that's no problem. So like even though it's like limited to Japanese language, you should be fine. So I was like, sweet. Okay, cool. That's what I did, right? So like all of the settings and stuff are in Japanese, but like when you play the game's in English. And
Gotcha.
it turns out that's just not the case. It turns out that only third-party Nintendo games third-party games give you the language option. All of Nintendo, or very few of Nintendo's first-party games do it. So Super Mario Odyssey does, and like Smash does, but most of the games they only go off the language of the system. So like I booted up Breath of the Wild,
you're not going to be able.
Only in Japanese.
This is a rhetorical question, but like they sell these games in other regions with the languages of those regions.
Nope.
So why
it goes off the language of your system. Actually, they all have all of the languages already. It's just a limit that they put on to this specific thing.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, like, I don't understand
they're
why
out there, but it's not
that
pulling
feels like
from it. You know,
that feels like such an arbitrary limit to put.
Well, the reason
because
it's cheaper here, and they don't want scalpers buying up the Japanese language only ones because the yen is so weak. So its price like is $500, but it's actually $300. It's $300 US, but it's $500 like here, right?
And that's
that's how they protect it.
Yeah, that's how they protect. Okay.
So
I mean, they have to have a way, I guess. If
I mean, I was just like, listen, like, you know what? If they do that, why don't they just sell the international only version? And then, like, if you buy it, if you show a Japanese passport or like a residence card, you can pay the like lower price at a store.
Or just let us Americans buy it for the same price you have it over there, cheaper.
Okay,
you know,
this is going to be mildly racist, but like actually it's mostly Chinese people come and buy it and then bring it back to China and sell it at a higher price.
Oh, wow.
That's specifically who
Johnny,
they're having the issues with.
America?
Well, in So Farm, I set it up and I was happy to deal, and I was kind of already going to just deal with all of that anyway, but I kind of had two feelings. One, I gave Johnny his Switch 2, and I had also like kind of promised him that I was going to buy him like a Steam Deck or something when he graduated elementary school, which by the way, Steam Deck is way more expensive. But
right.
the Switch 2 at that time wasn't out yet. Like they hadn't even announced it because I promised it a few years ago. And you know what? Like this is a better thing for him. Like the games he likes, all of that stuff. He loves it. So I gave him his. But
and, you know, that's what the kids love the Switch that we have. And I mean, it's just it's great,
and it runs great,
and I don't have to worry about a lot of other stuff too.
It's beautiful, but then also for me, like I got a new console, and there was like nothing I wanted to play on it. You know what I mean? Like, no new Nintendo games I wanted to play, and then it's like, okay, well, I could play Apex, but like I could also just play it on my Xbox. You know, like
right.
And
it's almost like
if there was a Zelda game, it'd be like a no-brainer for me. But
not even any like Rise Son of Rome. Come on, you know?
Yeah, nothing. And so between that, and then I already found myself thinking like, okay, well, like I'll deal with like this Japanese only version, and then maybe in like a few years, I'll like save up and buy an international version, right? And I was like, you know what? I've spent so much money on this, like I'm just gonna take it back. So literally, Farm the next day, I took it back. Just returned it. Yeah, because I bought it from Costco, so you know it's a 90-day return policy. So the next day I just took it back because I was like, you know what, like I'm not going to spend all of this money to just not be happy with a product, right? Like that's pretty.
I mean, I don't blame you because that's kind of the whole reason that I'm, like I've mentioned, you know, the last couple of weeks, you know, when we talked about the Switch, I don't have a push for it because there is nothing that I would use it for, and it would just sit there like kind of even now the Switch that I have, I've played it, don't get me wrong, but now with the kids, like they play it, and I play on the PC or I play on the Xbox. I don't really gravitate to it much, and I know it would just be a wasted piece of hardware. I actually had 2 days ago, I had something when you're talking about getting a Switch 2, I had. The kids were playing it and everything, and I almost thought I was going to have to buy a new one because it got locked up, it turned off, and I had to let it. I could not get it to turn off or restart or anything, so I had to let it set, and I think just discharge a little bit.
Right,
and then finally I was able to do the whole reset thing. But for a minute there, I'm like, okay, this is it. I guess I am getting a Switch too now. This is the
Yeah.
moment. I've been waiting for something like this to happen
Be
to push me over
forced
the
into
edge. You know,
it.
yeah, and I'll be okay with it because
Yeah.
I have to, but because I do want the next one. I just don't want to get it ahead of time because again, there's
And let it
not
sit,
games I'm going to
yeah.
be playing.
It feels like a weird thing to say, like need, but I feel like there's a difference between like want to need that I think is applicable here, where it's like, yeah, sure, I want the newest thing, but do I need it yet? You know, like I mean,
Right.
Yeah, and you have to take it from a gamer standpoint. I mean, people
Right.
who are not gamers would never even be able to understand what we're talking about.
Right.
but for somebody who's trying to get to the next thing, there is that moment of, okay, am I always trying to get the best hardware, or am I just waiting? And that's kind of where I'm at. Am I waiting just for the games to come up about, or the hardware to just get so bad that I can't even run, or it dies, it completely dies, and then I have to. So I'm kind of like there's a fine balance. There's definitely a fine balance.
And for
to that.
me, and what I told my wife when I was like, I'm going to take it back, and she was like, okay, that's fine. Like, because it was I bought it for my birthday, right? And I was like, you know what? Like, it's more like me going to buy it, and I was not happy going to buy it, but it was more of like why I was buying it, of being like, I guess I'm done with Xbox. Like I was telling David, Farm, I don't know that I'm going to buy any new games on the Xbox because I don't.
So,
one of the things is I don't know that there is going to be an Xbox in the future. So it would be right. Like I don't know that this.
So in a way, is a kind of a compulsive buy. It's like
it
was almost emotional at that point because like Xbox is said
well, yes
this,
and no. I've been talking about it for a while, and then I had the opportunity to, and so I was able to.
This pushed you over the edge. Kind of,
it pushed me over the edge to be like, that's it. I'm done. I'm done. I'm just going to get something else, and I will keep paying for Game Pass like Essential so I can play like Helldivers with you guys. But like, I'm not gonna, Farm. Can you imagine this? I'm not gonna buy like what is it, Halo, the new Halo remake. I'm gonna buy it on Steam. I'm not gonna buy it on Xbox.
But honestly, I'm okay with that. I'm a proponent of PC at Halo, and I always have been. And it forced me. Like they forced me back in Halo 3 days to get an Xbox. And in a way, I'm kind of frustrated, but at the same time, I wouldn't have had that whole history, of gaming with a controller and all the great stuff that happened, and so I'm not really mad now, but at the time when I didn't have an Xbox and I'm playing on the PC that had bad hardware, like mediocre at best, wasn't playing high end by any means, you're trying to play these games, you're just like suffering, it takes forever to go through a loading screen. You're trying to play the game you like, and then you hear the next one's coming out,
you're really selling PC on me, Farm. You're really selling PC on me right now.
And it's not coming to, I mean, it's the way it is. And it frustrated me so much, but to the point that I did it. And then I'm like, okay, I'm not looking back. And I've had an Xbox ever since. But I have felt myself more migrating more towards the PC again, like 50-50. And I loved playing the controller. And the good thing about the PC, you still can do that. But like there's something about having that console versus the PC too.
Just the plug and play like aspect of it. The not having to worry about anything else but like, you know what? I can buy an Xbox right now, plug it in, and it will update, and then it will work.
Right.
Updates.
Right.
I mean, like, whereas a PC, I will probably spend my first day after building the PC, which is a whole thing in and of itself. Like then
getting
also
the right
like
parts
troubleshooting
first,
all the drivers, all the stuff. Yeah. And I mean, like it's a whole ordeal, right?
Well, and
I mean, like
I talked about my PC last year, how all the trouble I had with that. And
you don't have that problem on Mac, you guys.
You can never predict when a problem's going to come up.
Right.
You can never predict like what the problem will be.
Especially on a pre-build, because if you mess up something, who knows? You don't know for a while too. So it is nice to have that, just compatibility. Like everything's worked out.
Yeah.
But
no, 100%.
Halo's always needed to be on PC,
and especially when it's focused towards gaming to the point where like it can do like essentially like maybe not the highest graphics, but like pretty high, like comparable to a high-end PC.
Well,
at
and
like
again,
a
being able
percentage of the
to
price, I mean, like
right, and that's what I was just about to say is like getting kids to be able to play these games, where they can't afford $3,000 PC,
right.
I can't afford a
These high-
$3,000 PC.
Well, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like most of us don't want to have to even think about that. Like doing like 400, and now it's even higher, like 500-600. But still, it's like, and it's gotten better because of like Game Pass and things like that. Where used to, you guys remember, you buy a console, you get one game, maybe two.
Yep, you have one game for a while.
And you have it for a while, and you
for like
to love that game.
Months.
Okay,
for a couple
you
months,
learn
got
that game in and out because
Titanfall.
Titanfall. It better be one you like. It better be a game you like, right? Like,
yeah, like Star Wars Pod Racing, man. We played that so much when we first got our Nintendo 64. Like, thankfully, it was a good game. We loved it.
yeah.
I know not everybody here is a fan of it, but great game. And then,
well, but I think the hard thing with Xbox again is that like I said, like where I'm trying to read the room here, I don't really believe like buying more games on Xbox. There was a time in my life, especially when I first moved here, that if you would have been like, are you going to have an Xbox in 5 years? Or even, is Xbox going to be a thing in 10 years? I would have been like, definitely. Right? 100%. And now I can't say that anymore. And it feels not great.
I am the most like ride or die, like hardcore, like Xbox person I know, I think, when it comes down to it. And I can't say that, I mean, like,
yeah, I mean, they, for some reason they closed him off the chat and he'd been removed from the group. And I don't know.
I mean, it probably didn't help that my username was like Phil Spencer's top fan 008 or whatever, but like
your username was the real
like,
Phil Spencer.
We'll have to remove you unless you change your username now.
Yeah, the real Phil Spencer. David's only messages from Microsoft are stop tagging us. Stop tagging us, and you're like, and David's just like, no.
No hashtag at.
But Xbox support follows me still, I think. We'll see how long that lasts.
That really is surprising me, and I wonder what it is. I wonder, like, how much of it, we've talked about, like, Microsoft pouring money into AI, with them going differently. Is it that they want to just go a totally different direction? I mean, at this point, Farm, how long do you think it's going to be before they rebrand from Xbox to Microsoft Gaming? You know what I mean? Like, come on.
I mean, on one hand, it would be stupid, but also, like, they abandoned the Zune brand.
On the one, yeah.
Like which
on one hand, it would be stupid, but on the other hand, it's very on brand for Microsoft.
Yeah, that's the thing.
On one hand,
they've abandoned Surface in a lot of ways.
When it comes to Microsoft, we could believe that they would do something like this. Unfortunately,
that's the thing.
But
like
Xbox
was the exception.
Name,
Xbox was the exception for like. I mean, they obviously have had their like snafus and everything, but like Xbox was the one part of like Microsoft that like it was like, hey, this runs pretty well for the most part. Like, obviously, they have their snafus, their problems, like, especially post, like, Activision Blizzard, the layoffs and everything, closures of studios. But again, I feel like most of that was on Microsoft more than anything else. Maybe I'm wrong, but, like, that's what it looked like to me. But, like, I mean,
Phil
like,
Spencer hates gamers, and he's been single-handedly trying to take down the gaming industry.
They finally caught him, yeah.
I mean, when it comes down to it, it felt like, almost like, okay, let's do this, and now, oh wait, what did we just do? It's like almost an afterthought. Like they really wanted to do it, and then they shifted gears on a few things, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think really when it comes down to it, I mean, going back to the name, I just can't see them changing Xbox right now. Right. Anyways, at least for 5, maybe even 10 years, just because they've done the Microsoft gaming name before. And it didn't do well.
It would be like
It
would be like changing the name of Halo. Like it would just be such a like crazy like thing to like lose the branding of, even if you lose like the actual construction of it.
Well, and
like
how many years
it's like the ship of
Theseus,
Theseus, right? Like, do you ever change the name of that? I mean, like.
Well, no. My thing, Farm, is that if they stop making actual Xboxes, and it turns into a cloud-based gaming service, and there's no more Xbox hardware, how long is it going to be before they just go with the Microsoft Windows
I still
Store,
don't
all
think
of
they
that
would,
stuff?
because like how many years have they had to like build this brand?
Well,
Microsoft is never
and
like entitled the gaming side so much as Xbox. So Xbox can exist as Xbox gaming outside of Xbox consoles, and
I do
that's where I
think
think they would
for
shift.
for all
But
the negative things that we've said about Microsoft, I do think that this is his attempt to kind of like make it profitable, right?
right,
Like I mean,
right.
I obviously don't like the moves he's making, but Xbox has not been like super profitable in a long time, right? And like there was a chance that like maybe they'd like get there with like putting their games everywhere and the games selling really well on other places, and a sheer quantity of games that they're putting out, and like maybe like a, like
Well, and see, I would have rather them be that way, like slowly trickle it up that way instead
right.
of like, okay, let's cut off all the fat and let's just make this a profitable, like that's all we're doing. We're just gearing for profitability. And the problem with that and what I'm seeing really and what I'm fearing is it's going to be, okay, we're pretty much gutting what Xbox has been and what it is
Sure.
at this point
I mean,
in time, and we're going to
And we're
make it
starting
something
Microsoft
different.
Gaming. We're
We're
starting
changing
Microsoft
but
it.
Gaming,
We're
also
something
changing our
different.
identity in a way, and Xbox is no longer going to be geared for like what's best for gamers. It's been going to be what's
well,
best for
and
Xbox, what's best for
that's the biggest
Microsoft.
loss. That's the absolute biggest loss right there,
Hmm.
is the fact that it will be like centered around like, oh, what would be best for Microsoft, not for the consumers who
And,
use this thing.
and basically, we're going
And
to see another PlayStation. I mean, that's really what it
I
comes
mean,
down to,
essentially, yeah.
or
And
even
like
Nintendo at that point.
and that
But
sucks, especially when PlayStation is closing studios left and right and canceling games left and right, even more than Microsoft has been. Like I mean that's not a future that I want to see. I was really excited about the way that Xbox was approaching gaming. Like I
right,
mean,
and
like
it
uh,
wasn't like there was there haven't been super profitable, but it seemed like they were making tracks that way. Now this just
yeah.
seems like all of a sudden, okay, we're slicing
Now
it up,
It's like, okay,
totally.
we tried that, and even though it's going that way, it's not fast enough,
Yeah,
and
right,
we're
right,
done.
that's
but
exactly what it feels
but
like. Not quick enough for us as the board. We want to see it
But
yesterday.
here's what I will say though too, is that Asha comes across as a fixer, right? As someone you bring in to fix things. And Satya seems to be trying to fix Xbox, right? Now, whether it needed like a drastic change, like maybe there's things behind the scenes that we don't see. Maybe I think personally, it's just that like AI is sucking up every spare dollar they have, so they're desperately trying to generate more. I think that's really what it is. But like, you don't try to fix something that you don't want, right? And so like I do think that like Nadella actually does want Xbox, that he's not lying when he says things like I'm long on gaming. I think he is telling the truth there. But like I mean like I just really don't like the actions that are being taken to do it, and I think it really is a ship of Theseus problem, where essentially like when every single piece of this is dismantled and then put back together in a completely different way, is it still Xbox?
Right,
Like I
it's
mean,
just gonna
I
change
think that
for
they'll
sure.
keep the
At least
branding,
some.
but I mean like I don't think it'll be recognizable as the same Xbox that we've like gotten to know over the past like decade, that's pushed things like like cross-play gaming, for
Oh
instance,
yes, for sure.
or like all these pro-consumer moves that
Honestly,
like
family sharing,
right,
Yeah, I
yes,
family
mean
yeah,
they're
yeah,
sharing.
doing
that
so
too,
many
yeah.
moves like push it across different platforms. Like I mean having games that you would never see come from PlayStation, all of a sudden now you can play them
Well,
on
you would
Xbox
have
now.
actually. d- You did see those games come from PlayStation in like the PS3 or PS2 era.
Right,
You don't see them
right.
today. Yeah,
But we've seen ever since Xbox started doing some of this stuff. Now other like PlayStation, Nintendo starting to play ball a little bit more, and I'd hate to see that go away.
right.
I'd hate to see that because of again when you're trying to again with they're pushing AI so much and you're trying to make it support that. how can you be totally focused on what's best for Xbox at that point? It's
Right.
not going to be. It's going to be
Or the
what's best
people.
for Microsoft and
Yeah.
AI, and let's get this profitable so we can push it over there. And there's just going to be so much left on the wayside for Xbox, and it's not going to be great. It's not going to be great at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, we could be wrong, and I'd love to be wrong.
I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong.
And you know what? I am intrigued about, like, what Xbox will look like, even if it looks completely different in 10 years. Like, I am curious about that. Like, I don't know that it'll be a good thing. I think it'll be less than it could have been under Phil if they were willing to let Phil execute what he wanted to do with it. I don't think it'll be as good for gamers or for the market, but it will be different and it will be interesting to see, you know?
It'll
It's
be an
interesting to
Xbox
hear
AI
David bring all
car.
that up because for me, I just don't. I feel like the moves they've been making have been clear that they want to get out of hardware. They want to get out of those things. That's kind of why I'm back on that. Like, I don't even know like the Xbox branding will stick around because like they don't. It seems to me that they don't want it. Not that they
I
don't
think
want like gaming, but they don't seem to care about having a console or having those things. And if they can move that around and do that, we'll see. David says he's interested to see Xbox in 10 years. I'm saying I don't think in 10 years there's going to be Xbox. Maybe there's
well,
going to be an Xbox
I don't
Cloud
see
gaming.
Xbox Green going away.
I don't
that
necessarily know if there will be a console in 10 years. What I
I don't know
do
that there'll be a
think is that
console.
they'll
That's a good
keep
point.
I do think that they'll keep the branding, if for no other reason, to have like that easy consolidation of all the studios under that branding, right?
Well, that
Like,
and like for
there is
example,
power in that, like, I mean,
Sega still makes games, right? That's
right.
what I'm basing
Yeah.
some of this I like the stuff I'm saying on. Say like my son doesn't know that Sega used to make consoles too,
Yeah,
right? That like one of my friends growing up
one of
had
the
a
most
Sega
innovative of the
Genesis,
time.
right? And a Dreamcast. Like he doesn't know that. And it's like, yeah, well, they didn't go away completely. Like they still have characters and recognizable IP and games that
Right.
come out and all that
But
stuff. But
like,
do they make consoles? No, they do not.
one of the best things that PlayStation ever did, I feel like, is when they did start consolidating their branding under PlayStation games. When they started like actually watermarking everything with that like MCU like logo, it almost
Mhm.
became like a seal of quality. And I feel like you kind of get that now with Xbox like studios, like where there's at the very least like a certain familiarity. You might not love the game, but it's an Xbox game. And I think there is some kind of like power with that, so that even if they lose like console, even if they abandon consoles entirely, that they'll still keep that branding for like that alone.
Sure,
Well, and
but
if
I mean, I
everything
would go as far to say
shifts,
that then
like,
Xbox is still gone though.
No,
Like
I mean, I
well,
don't
you
disagree.
might
Yeah.
it's
we
the
might
ship of
see that all
Theseus thing.
consoles in a way go
Yeah.
to like app form, like
Right, it's
streaming
very true.
service, like PlayStation, Nintendo, like, and Xbox. I mean, could potentially just say, okay, for the hardcore gamers, yes, go ahead. You're going to buy your own, your hardware and build it. We're going PC, and then again, this could be like 10, 15 years, but like we might not have any consoles except what you get on like a TV app on your phone or anything like that.
Right.
I mean, who knows?
I was
For a consumer who's like plays single player games or even like just some minor like little multiplayer games that don't take a lot. I mean, that would be perfectly fine for just like some good old multiplayer fun. You could easily do it with those things, and that could be the shift. That could be what everybody will bank on here in 10 years, 10,
100%.
15 years.
I
Yeah.
mean, I have seen kids play Fortnite on their phones, and when I ask them like, "Why do you do that? Do you like that?" They're just like, "This is just what I have."
Right. And I think
Like I can
there's
play on
like,
this.
on a kind of a tangent real quick, is that, like, I mean, I was talking with a colleague about like AI, right? And my worry with AI is not that it will like essentially replace everybody. It's that we will get so used to AI that we'll kind of start to accept it in certain ways, like
Right.
where
We won't have
we
the best of
accept
the
like
best.
right, where we'll accept like AI slop essentially, or AI like completely generated like movies or something as
Oh
being
my
normal.
goodness.
But when it comes down to it, like
Please no.
that's my biggest fear, because, and I don't necessarily know how likely it is. Probably not that much. But there's the problem with, like, if something sticks around long enough, you do normalize like even like a lower quality thing as being like normal. You know, and we talked about this with Fortnite a couple seasons ago too, where like essentially when that's all you know, then it's just like, okay, well, this is just like, this is what it is, you know, like what else could there be, you know, like.
No, but that's totally what's going to happen. Not to be like the that person, but that's totally going to happen. Like, isn't that like the number one complaint of Skyrim over Oblivion, is that they dumbed it down and it's just easier and it's not as good and they made it available to everybody, but the people who didn't play Oblivion don't know that, and like that's all they've had. You know what I mean? Like that, and then the people who say that about Oblivion, there are people who played Morrowind who say the same
Who
thing.
feel that
They're
way?
like,
Yeah, sure. But
feel
I
that
mean,
way about Oblivion. And like it sounds bad, but like I mean, people watch, like, this reminds me of like dub versus subtitled like anime watching. Right? There's some people who are like, "Oh no, I would not watch. I only watch it dubbed." Right? I wouldn't watch it with subtitles. Because it's just too hard. And then other people who are like, "Oh, well, I watch it with subtitles because I feel it like preserves like the original performance and that it's better." And people are just like, "Well, I just don't care about that." It's not that like real movies will go away. It'll just be that there will be like, it will become the minority, right? In the same way that, like, I mean, it's going to be this way for music too. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to think that like AI music and AI art is just good enough and it's going to be cheap and they'll just have it and they'll be happy with it. And then there's going to be people who are the snobs who will be like, "I only listen to music made by humans, right? I only watch movies made by humans." And that's just what's going to end up happening, is what my assumption. Not saying that that's good, but just like that's what every other like leap forward in technology has done, right? I mean, there are still people who listen to stuff on vinyl. You know what I mean? And like they're
sure.
like, "Oh, well, I'm better than you because I listen to it on vinyl." Like the
I
human
mean,
made
I
art's
like
not going to
vinyl.
totally go away.
I love
You
vinyl.
know, yeah, like people they'll just will, say whatever about
I
vinyl.
won't
I'm
say
like,
it's better though, because you get that warbly sound, sometimes, it's just, it's
right.
old tech. It's old tech. And if you get what you pay for.
And some people really like it and such, but like it's, as far as AI goes and like making movies and making art and stuff like that, like I guess my question is like, do you want to be in front of that and like figure out where to work it with it and like where that's going to go with you, or do you just want to stand on the sidelines and say no,
Happens.
like I'm
Yeah.
not going to happen?
Yeah.
For example, and for the people who are like, "I'm going to stand on the sidelines because it's the morally right thing to do." There was a man who went to church with me and David when we were younger. He was not particularly old. I think he was maybe in his 50s at that time. He's passed since then. And I remember he refused to get an email. And we were just like, "But like we manage everything in our church, like for volunteering and all of that stuff. We manage all of this by email." And he was like, "Why do I need an email?" He's like, "I just got a cell phone. It wasn't a smartphone even. It's just like a regular, Motorola Razr or whatever." He's like, "I have a phone. You guys can just call me." He's like, "I've lived my whole life. I don't need a cell phone. Like, I don't need an email. I just don't need it." And he like was like, "I don't need the internet. I don't need email. I don't need any of that. Like, who needs this?" And that sounds funny and ridiculous, but like honestly, for like people who are like really hardcore, like just refusing about AI stuff, it's giving a lot of the same vibe to me of like, you are going to be left behind because you're just refusing to accept this new technology that's not even new anymore.
Right.
It's old
Right.
now and we're using it and we can have issues with it and it's causing
It's pretty
issues
much
for the
everywhere
planet
now,
and all of that
whether you
stuff.
realize it
But
or
like,
not.
this
Yeah.
is happening with or without you, right? And like it's
Well,
a
and the
really
thing is
interesting
too,
thing.
how AI gets shaped is kind of dependent on who is using it. If you're like so anti, you're not going to be able to shape how is it going to be used.
Right.
So there is that balance, between like saying, okay, I'm just going to throw my hands up and not use it at all, versus am I going to help, see what AI is going to become and help it, actually make it the best for all of us who are going to be, handling it and using it.
Well, and how many, and maybe we're going to have a Dune or like Battlestar Galactica situation where we decide not to do it and we like fight it off. But like also how many people are going to benefit and because they are willing to use it. Right. And I'm not talking about I'm like, this is a very nuanced conversation to be having. I just want to throw that out there. Like for people listening, this is like, I understand that. Like it's a very nuanced conversation, but there's a lot in that sense. And like when talking about the future, whether it be for gaming or for other things, like, whether like AI and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I have a hard time imagining people accepting AI games and just being like, oh yeah, that's it. And like we talked about like them not being good or like AI movies and people just playing it. I have a hard time accepting that. But then again, you know what? People already play bad games. I have a friend who prefers to play Halo Anniversary. I have a friend who prefers to play Halo Anniversary with the old graphics, which is objectively wrong. Like it's not to switch over and look at it, but like that's how he wants to play the game. And I'm just like, why? Why are you like this?
Right. Yeah.
Well,
I think the only thing I'd push back on with like AI in general is that AI kind of feels to me more like crypto, where it doesn't necessarily like propel things forward beyond the limits of what we can do right now. Agreed. Whereas like other technological revolutions have all been things that like propelled things forward past like our capacity at that point. And like, not that it won't get there, because like it very well could get there, and I think it will get there at some point. I think there will be legitimate like usage figured out for it. But like right now with where it is, I think that the problem is that like it just replaces right now. It doesn't actually like push forward. And so like I'm curious what the pushing forward looks like. But I don't necessarily like. I think until it discovers a way to like push forward, and maybe it will by itself, by like like getting like sentience or something. Like I don't necessarily like worry that much about like it becoming the new normal in like the respect of like replacing like what we have. Like it kind of feels like CGI to me, where like CGI, it wasn't crazy that CGI could look like just like what we could already do. It was crazy that CGI could do things that we could never do, like
Right. Well, I mean, and as far as AI goes and being like, maybe it'll get there on its own. It can't get there on its own because it also just can't answer a simple question factually.
That's true too.
You know what I mean?
That's true
it just
too.
can't even do that.
Yeah.
It can't even answer your questions properly or do whatever or look anything up. And it just tells you like false information. Like, so no, I'm not actually worried about it. Thinking it honestly, if it did gain sentience, I would just bully it. Because I'm not even worried about it being smart enough to do anything.
I'm just imagining a Cylon, that like just tells you like objectively incorrect things.
The problem with that exactly is that the Cylons are smart, right? Is the issue. That's what makes them scary, not that they're alive. Like, why would I be scared of a dumb computer? It's like this computer's not even that smart. Like, and even worse, it has access to all of this stuff, and it's not that smart.
That's the worst part. It's like, can you get? It's like, you'll be asking to do anything, and just like forget what it was doing, and like give you the wrong thing every single time. There's nothing more frustrating than that.
Sure. I literally was just talking to ChatGPT today. I was asking I don't even remember. I was asking some question about something, and I saw it like did not look it up. And it just gave me this answer. And I was like, can you look that up, please? And it looked it up. And then it immediately like gave me the right answer, which was the opposite of the answer it gave me. I just want to throw that out there. Like it, like not one of those things that you can just work out. Right. And I was like, can you just like look up every time I ask you a question so that like, just
exactly. Yeah. Like,
actually use the internet and not just like predict
and just look
what
it up.
I want you to say.
Yeah, just look it up, please, because I'm talking to you while I'm driving, so you can like recite it back to me, so I don't have to look it up, right? I can just listen and do that. Like, just look it up, please. And it's like, oh, okay. And then I had to tell it to do that like multiple times before it like took it down in memory. Like, it was like, yep, I'll make sure to do that. And I'm like, I can see that you haven't like done that Like you haven't made a note of that I want you to do that. Anyway, I'm not worried. That would be like being worried that like 4-year-olds are going to take over. It's like, well, I'm not really worried about it. You know, they're not the brightest.
But I am kind of worried about the future of Xbox, because Xbox does actually mean a lot to me.
I think that's the thing. So when talking about, which we can wrap up, if anyone has any closing thoughts, we should be thinking about that. When I said that I wasn't happy buying the Switch 2, I really was in a weird mood over the weekend, because it's really this thing of like, gaming has been a big part of my life. Granted, recently it's been a not as big part of my life, but it's been a big part of my life. And at least for a long time, that gaming has been done on Xbox, right? Yes, I had a PlayStation before and all that, but like Xbox has been a big part of that for me. And the idea
and you're feeling
that
the history,
Xbox,
a little bit of
as
the
I
history.
know it, is done. The idea, like I said, that like there was a time that without any hesitation, I would have been like, yes, I'm like an Xbox ride or die. And the idea that they're going in a direction that I don't like.
Right.
Yeah. Possibly, well, you can see yourself losing a little bit of your identity, and a little bit, because like all the history, all three of us have had with Xbox outside of any other thing. Xbox has been our console for years.
Yeah.
And we kind of banked on that, just
and even
resting on it. That
I want to throw out
here.
there. I want to throw out there that like, as much hate as I get on Xbox, I am the only person on this podcast who has not owned a PlayStation the whole time that I've had Xbox. I want to just throw that out there for people listening. They're like, oh, well, Johnny hates on Xbox.
I definitely have more hours on the Xbox.
Oh, I'm sure. But you know what? I haven't given money to the competition. Like
Steam, your handheld consoles aren't competition.
It's a PC. It's a PC. It's different.
Oh,
it's different.
Okay.
It's not a console. It's a PC. But the idea of that is really sad and really hard, and like trying to think about like what is. I mean, not to sound. I don't know how this is going to come off to people, but the idea of a future where the two big console makers left are both Japanese, and there's not like an American company representing, or even a Western company representing in there. I don't think that bodes well for consumers. Like, having lived in Japan for 10 years, I don't think that bodes well for consumers. Like, imagine Nintendo and Sony, and that's all you have with the way that they treat gamers.
Right. Well, and like I even talked to you a bit about that, Johnny, where like, I mean, I think diversity actually does bring strength to the market and like helps it change. Like I read off a list like 5 years ago in Discord or something, and I don't know where that list is now, but like a list of things that Xbox did first that PlayStation then followed in, and Nintendo always does their own thing, but they even moved on some of it, like parties, for instance, or whatever, like voice parties and all that.
That only took them like 15 years.
Yeah.
Good job on them.
It was shocking the amount of like influence that Xbox has had in the industry for being kind of a latecomer when it comes down to it, but also just like coming from a completely different culture, and like how better the industry is for it, how much more gamers have that they kind of take for granted, because like they just don't realize how different this landscape would look without Xbox in it. And so,
without
like,
the
for
Xbox perspective, let's say it like that. Without the Xbox perspective, how different it would be. And the idea that perspective is being threatened, to just not be there, and that and that they've lost me. I'm going to stick by it, Farm. I do not plan on buying any new games for my Xbox. I plan on buying a Steam machine if that comes out this year, and I plan on migrating over to the Steam machine.
Steam machine.
So,
which is
the other thing I saw.
If it comes out, I'm right there with you. If it comes out, sure.
Yeah. The other thing I saw was that they are apparently looking into, and have been for a little while, adding value to Game Pass Ultimate. And one of the things that they might be doing, possibly one of the things that they're looking at, is adding a WoW subscription to it.
Stupid. I thought you were going to say.
Wow.
Here's the thing.
Wow.
Here's the thing, D. they're going to add a WoW subscription to it, and then they're going to bump it up from $30 to like $45
40 or something,
because it's an extra $15, and that's going to get even more people to leave. Because you know what? Hey, would Phil have done it? No. Who's this new lady? I don't know her.
Right.
And why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they do it? It's a higher value,
and
so
if
therefore
they're only
you
worried
should pay
about
more
sales
for it.
and bringing up the, I mean, they're going to try. Yeah, they're going to do that stuff, and it's not not going to be gamer friendly. That's the point. The focal point of being, gamers for gamers is kind of like going to be shifted at this point, and it's going to be too bad. But I mean, I can't see it going any other way. Unfortunately, I'd love to be wrong, but I just don't see it.
That's my thing too. Yeah, I'd love to be wrong, but like I would love this to be a pessimistic bad take.
Right.
A few years later,
like,
it's like, wow, that was a terrible pessimistic bad take. That
it just feels like Nadella's like orchestrated this thing, and Nadella's like position has always been like kind of like more on the profit margin, and I understand that from like leading a like giant corporation that has shareholders and everything, and like Xbox being one of your lowest profitable like regions of your giant company. Like I get that, but like I don't like it. Like I would very much like for like them to like, I don't know, like use Xbox to generate goodwill that they don't have anywhere else because they burned it all. Like I mean, like Windows
and they
does
just can't
not have any goodwill
completely
anymore. I mean,
if they lose the faith of the gamers, then Xbox is going to die. That's what it comes down to. And if they completely flip-flop to where it's just like only about the business side, that's going to happen, hands down.
That's what it seems
how many
like.
How many Xbox players are like me now? Because first off, a bunch of them are gone. Like, let's just throw that out there, right? Many people who we knew who played Xbox have jumped ship from Xbox and either gone to PC or PlayStation.
Well,
and we've been hanging on. How many of them are going to be like me and like, this is the last straw for me too? I'm out. I'm not. I don't trust them. I don't trust the thing. I don't got goodwill. I'm going over to Steam.
Even before you seeing what happens. It's you're like that right now.
I literally went out and bought a Switch the day I found out. I bought a Switch 2 the day I found out. Put my money where my mouth is.
Nothing's set in stone of what's actually going to happen. We haven't seen the results, but you're just you're feeling the water. It's changing. The wind's changing. You're going to change with it. And so if we don't see something happen soon, then we've got a huge problem. And again, people are probably already shifting over, and they've got to be quick on this, or it's going to be.
But also,
the question also isn't just how many players will remain, but also how many studios will get closed. Like, do they really need like 15 AA studios underneath the Xbox brand? Like, I mean, like financially speaking, like I want to see all the studios there. I want to get like, like 6s and 7s and 8s out of 10s, like smaller games that come out like every like.
I can't believe he said a 6 out of 10.
I mean, that's not the way that I would rate them. Okay, I think every game's a 10 in my heart. Okay, but like except for Redfall's like an 8.
I want, I want more Gollum games. Yep, exactly.
I want
more Gollum
games
that game on the Xbox.
But I mean, like even Redfall has redeemable like things to it. That they're trying new things, they're trying different things, like, and how much of that like helps them like build their next thing that's actually like really good, but like I mean, like we might not find out because like there might not be any room for like misfires, there might not be any room for like even like not achieving like financial success, which that's a scary place to be in creatively, because then you don't take risks, and
then you're like,
but then
I also want to bring up, but surely
start feeling the same. And
I would love it if corporations could just learn the right lessons, because surely not taking risks and thinking that that's a good play, surely they would have learned from Call of Duty that that's not the case.
Right.
You know what I mean? Surely you would think, but maybe not. Anyway, this has been an extra long episode, which feels fitting because it's been on the death of Xbox. The end of Xbox. Buy box.
Quotations. Yeah.
But any closing comments, you guys? I mean, we've been going an hour and a half almost.
I'm not surprised. feels like we've been going on for a good time. I mean, but I mean, this stuff is passionate about for all of us. I mean, we've kind of been in this. We've been kind of in Xbox for I don't know, quite a while. So this comes kind of from the heart for all of us, and it's just like it's hard to let go. It's hard to see it going in a different direction, and also just like not sure where it's going to go, and also not being, like you said, Johnny, like you're already like not trusting it. So is it time to get out? I would hate everybody to feel that way because, I don't know, just hold on and see what happens. I don't know. But that's easier to say.
Everyone go
buy.
Everyone go buy a new thing. This sounds bad, but like, I brought up I'm gonna keep paying for Xbox Game Pass Essential, so I can keep playing. But like, probably as soon as I get a Steam machine, I'm even gonna stop paying for that. And just be gone. And that's a really weird thought, you guys. It's a really weird thought.
It is. There's something that, like, I mean, we kind of, like, not necessarily explicitly said, but an app sphere would not exist without Xbox because Xbox published Halo and had a big hand in porting it to Windows. And so, I mean, like, there's also that aspect too. So, yes, there might be a little bit of bias or, like, like affinity that might not otherwise be there. But when it comes down to it, I'm going down with the ship. I think I'll continue playing on Xbox until
all of the competitor consoles.
Well, it's also this.
There's that too, for sure. Yeah.
An Avcast isn't going anywhere because we started in PC, and by golly, PC is still going to be here even if Xbox fails.
I mean, yeah, that's true. Yeah. We might want to run out of RAM, though.
Don't worry about Xbox. I mean, a Navcast. You can worry about Xbox all day long, but a Navcast will still be here giving you the weekly news.
All right. Bye. Yeah, man, that's a long episode. Get out of here, Craig.